Apologies, thank you for your patience with the technical delays. Good morning, I am Councillor Jennifer McKelvey. I am Chair of Scarborough Community Council and will be chairing today's meeting. The clerk has confirmed that we have quorum, so I will call meeting 31 to order. Welcome, everyone. Today's meeting is being held with members of council and city staff participating by both video conference and in person at the Scarborough Civic Centre in the council chamber. The Scarborough Civic Centre is once again open to the public, and anyone is welcome to attend the meeting in the council chamber today. The public may also continue to participate electronically by video conference. This meeting is being live streamed online at youtube.com/Toronto City Council Live. The clerk staff have connected remote public speakers to the meeting by video conference, and there are public speakers in the room with us today. The list of speakers can be viewed online by visiting the Scarborough Community Council page at toronto.ca/council and clicking the speakers box for today's meeting. I ask everyone for their patience with any delays and technical issues. Members, the city clerk has provided all agenda materials on toronto.ca/council and on CMP, the clerk's meeting portal. Clerk's IT staff are available to members in the council chamber and remotely if you need help with your devices. As part of each agenda item, I will ask members to raise their hand or unmute their mic if they wish to question staff or speak. I will create a speakers list and will call on members when it is their turn. When voting on an item or motion, I ask members to ensure they turn on their video and raise their hand to indicate their vote. Members, this is a paperless meeting, and I want to remind you that you must still submit and approve your motions by email. Staff are available at scc@toronto.ca to help with motions. Although we are in different locations and some members are participating remotely today, the committee would like to acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. It is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit and the Williams Treaty signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. Are there any declarations of interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? If you have an interest, please raise your hand or unmute your mic and indicate the item number and the nature of interest. Seeing none, may I have a motion to confirm the minutes from our last meeting on February 25th, 2022?
So moved.
Okay, Councillor Lai had her hand up first, so I'll put Councillor Lai. All
No
those
problem.
in favor? All those opposed? That carries. I have submitted a new business item for this meeting, which I will introduce during the rundown. Thank you, and we can now go through the items. Item SC 31.1, city-initiated zoning bylaw amendments to implement Scarborough Subway Extension, final report, Ward 20, 21, 23, 24, Statutory Planning Act, RSO 1990. This is in Councillor Crawford, Lai, Ainsley, and Thompson's wards. Anybody like to hold this item? Thompson would like to hold? Okay.
Yep.
SC 31.2, final report, 250 Danforth Road, zoning amendment and subdivision applications, Ward 20, Statutory Planning Act. This is in Councillor Crawford's ward. I will hold as there are two deputants. SC 31.3, final report, 2567 Eglinton Avenue East, zoning bylaw amendment application, Ward 20, Statutory Planning Act, RSO 1990. This is in Councillor Crawford's ward. I will hold as there is one deputant. Final report, 3459 to 3471 Sheppard Avenue East, zoning amendment application, Ward 22, Statutory Planning Act, RSO 1990. This is in Councillor Mantis's ward. I will hold as there are two deputants. SC 31.5, final report, 113 to 141 Montezuma Trail, zoning bylaw amendment application, Ward 23, Statutory Planning Act, RSO 1990. I will hold as there are five deputants. This is in Councillor Lai's ward. SC 31.6, preliminary report, 2911 Eglinton Avenue East, zoning amendment application, Ward 20. Councillor Crawford.
I can move the staff recommendations and an amendment to expand the notification area, please, to 300 meters.
Okay, Councillor Crawford is moving the above shown amendments. When the screen changes back, we'll vote on the amendments. All those in favor of the amendment? All those opposed? That carries. All those in favor of the item as amended? All those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. 31.7, preliminary report, 36 to 40 Ellesmere Road, zoning amendment application, Ward 21. Deputy Mayor Thompson.
I'd like to just hold that for now, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay. SC 31.8 Preliminary Report 20 Stonehill Zoning Bylaw Amendment, Ward 22, Councillor Mantis's ward. I will hold as there is one deputant. SC 31.9 Preliminary Report 750 Huntingwood Drive Zoning Bylaw Amendment Application, Ward 22. I will hold as there are 4 deputants. SC 31.10 Status Report 3095 Eglinton Avenue East Zoning Bylaw Amendment Application, Ward 20. Councillor Crawford?
Move staff recommendations, please.
Okay, Councillor Crawford has moved staff recommendations. All those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. SC 31.11 Woodside Square Planning Review Proposal Report, Ward 23. Councillor Lai, I will hold as there is one deputant. SC 31.12 Appointment of Public Members to Scarborough Community Preservation Panel. So this is all Scarborough wards. Would anybody like to hold the item? Would somebody like to move the item? Deputy Mayor Thompson's moving it. All those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. SC 3113, Assumption of Services, Registered Plan 66M-2537, 280 Manse Road, Manse Developments in Ward 25. I will move the staff recommendations. All those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. SC 3114, Designation of Fire Routes and Amendment to Chapter 880 Fire Routes, 1346 Danforth Road, Ward 21. Deputy Mayor Thompson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move the staff recommendations.
Okay, Deputy Mayor has moved staff recommendations. All those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. SC 31.15, Designation of Fire Routes and Amendment to Chapter 880 Fire Routes 20, 40, 50, and 60 Orchard Place Drive. Councillor Lai?
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move staff recommendation.
Okay, Councillor Lai's moved staff recommendations. All those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. SC 3116, Designation of Fire Routes and Amendment to Chapter 880 Fire Routes 2761 Markham Road. Councillor Lai?
I'd like to also move staff recommendation, please, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Lai's moved staff recommendations. All those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. SC 3117, Designation of Fire Routes and Amendment to Chapter 880 Fire Routes 2835 to 2855 Markham Road. Councillor Lai? You're muted.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, which item is it now? 3117?
Yes. Oh, did I?
Yeah, okay, I move staff recommendation, please. Thank you.
Did I read the right thing on that, or is that mixed up? Is that right? Sorry, what was that?
Yeah, you're fine.
It's good? 6117 Fire Route, okay. All those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. 613118, Designation of Fire Routes and Amendment to Chapter 880 Fire Routes 3 to 35, Chicory Lane, rear of 91 to 119 Staines Road, in rear of 2131 to 2173 Morningside Avenue. I'll move staff recommendations. It's in Ward 25. All those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. SE 3119, Metrolinx Subway Extension, Scarborough Center Go Bus Relocation, Ward 21. Deputy Mayor Thompson?
I'd like to hold that, please, Madam Chair.
Okay. Deputy Mayor's holding 3119. SC 3120, Pay and Display Parking, Pay and Display Parking, Kingston Road, Ward 20. Councillor Crawford?
I can move staff recommendations, Madam Chair.
Okay, Councillor Crawford is moving staff recommendations. All those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. SC 3121, Always Stop Control and Parking Amendments, Freeman Street and Phenix Drive, Ward 20. Deputy Mayor Thompson?
I believe that's my ward, I think.
Oh, apologies, I had it mixed up on my script. Okay, I will change this here. All right, Councillor Crawford.
Then I will move it. Staff recommendations, thanks.
Okay, all those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. SC 3122, Tilly Drive, Traffic Concerns. I will hold as there is one deputant. SC 3123, Traffic Calming Speed Hump, Strawberry Hills, Ward 23. Councillor Lai?
Madam Chair, I have a quick alternative motion to recommend. If I may deal with it now, please, if staff can put it up on the screen. It is just to direct the Director of Traffic Management and Transportation Service to request the city clerk to poll eligible householder on Strawberry Hill Drive between Steeles and Goldhawk Trail. And the poll is to determine whether residents support the installation of traffic calming in accordance with the City of Toronto traffic calming policies. And number 2 will be subject to favorable results of the poll. Authorize the installation of traffic calming speed humps on Strawberry Hill Drive between Steeles and Goldhawk Trail. Direct the city solicitor to prepare the bylaw to alter sections of the roadway to install one speed hump on Strawberry Hill Drive between Steeles and Goldhawk Trail to traffic calming purposes, generally as shown as Amendment 2 dated April 2022, attached to the report entitled Traffic Calming Speed Hump Strawberry Hills Drive, report dated April 4th, 2022 from the Director of Traffic Management Transportation Service, and reduce the speed limit from 40 kilometers to 30 kilometers on Strawberry Hills Drive between Steeles and Goldhawk Trail.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Lai. Are there any questions of the motion? Anyone speak to the motion? Okay, Councillor Lai has moved her amendment. All those in favor? All those opposed? That carries. Just confirming, do I need to do the item as amended as well? Or is this a replacement?
It's a replacement.
Okay, so that's fine. That brings us to 3124. Application for a fence exemption, 39 McGregor Road, Ward 21. I will hold as there is one deputant. SC 3125, application for a fence exemption, 130 Holmcrest Trail. I will hold as there is one deputant. SC 31.26, application for a fence exemption, 18 Greyabbey Trail. I'm prepared to move recommendation 2. Okay, thank you. Recommendation, well, I guess it reads as recommendation 1 now that it's moved, is grant the application for an exemption permit by the owners of 18 Greyabbey Trail to allow them to maintain the existing fence. And the conditions are laid out here as well. All those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. SC 3127, application for a fence exemption to Josaly Drive. I will hold as there is deputant. SC 31.28, pedestrian safety on Gerrard Street between Victoria Park Avenue and Clonmore Drive, Ward 20. Councillor Crawford.
I'll move staff recommendations.
Councillor Crawford's moving staff recommendations. All those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. SC 31.29, U-turn prohibition, McNicoll Avenue immediately west of Kennedy Road, Ward 22. Councillor Manse. I will hold as there is one deputant. SC 3130, Scarborough Walk of Fame. So first we need to move this onto the agenda. I'm moving this on the agenda. I pre-circulated. All those in favor of moving it to the agenda? All those opposed? That carries. All those in favor of the item? All those opposed? That carries. Just going to confirm we caught them all before we go back to the top of the agenda. We're good? Okay, great. That brings us back to item SC 31.1, city-initiated zoning bylaw amendment to implement Scarborough subway extension, final report.
Madam Chair.
Deputy Mayor, you held the item.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just a question for you in terms of procedure. So we have the 9:45 and 9:30, and I understand that this is 9:30. I wondered whether or not we can vary the agenda just a bit to deal with the item which is 39 McGregor Road, which is scheduled for at 9:45. I wonder if we could just deal with that to dispense that, and then we can come back to the first item, which is SC 31.1. This should be rather quick. And I know it's scheduled for 9:45 and we're at 10 o'clock already.
Yeah, I was just checking with clerks because the other items that I mentioned are also all scheduled for 9:30.
Yeah, no, I know. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 5. There are 5 there. Yeah, just as a timing issue for folks, Madam Chair. I mean, this is going to be really super quick. We just have one speaker, And then I would move the,
Okay, if we do that, then I think we also have to deal with 25 and 27, because they are a similar issue, and those deputies are in the room.
I'm happy, yes, I'm happy to do that, Madam Chair, to deal with all of the fence exemption, and
Okay.
I'm happy to do that, which would be varying it to ensure that those items go first.
Okay, and it is after 9:45. Okay, so item number, oh, sorry, I guess I'll get the consent of the committee. All those in favor? Okay, all those opposed, that carries as a change to the agenda order. Okay, so 3124, application for a fence exemption, 39 McGregor Road. The first deputant is Andrea Dominic. Andrea, are you on the line? Okay, you have 5 minutes.
Oh, hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, hi, good morning. Would you like me to proceed?
Yes, please proceed. You have 5 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Thompson, and thank you, Council, for having me this morning. I will keep it brief. My name is Andrea Dominique, and I'm here to speak on behalf of my aunts, Casey McAteer, and my great aunt Phyllis Gray, who reside at 39 McGregor. My aunt Casey's 95-year-old great aunt Phyllis, who has advanced dementia. My aunts have lived at 39 McGregor for over 50 years. I've been visiting them there just as long. My aunts have always taken pride in their home and have maintained it to the utmost care. They have always adhered to bylaws and the municipality. They have always respected and been considerate of all their surrounding neighbors. We are requesting the exemption for one section excuse me, of the fence in the backyard between the homes of 37 and 39. Our reasons for requesting this are to block out neighboring light that reflects into the backyard and bedrooms at the back of the house at night. Blocking the light would allow for some restful sleep, to create privacy in the backyard, which gives my 95-year-old aunt a sense of personal safety being utmost priority to her condition. I would like to advise that the fence was professionally constructed, is sturdy, and it looks nice, or we think it looks nice anyway. The fence is on my aunt's property, not the property line, and the cost was incurred entirely by my aunts. Not only does the fence provide privacy for my aunts, but also to the neighbors at 37. We have spoken to Councillor Thompson personally, and he supports the exemption. As well, Councillor Thompson spoke to the neighbor at 37 McGregor, who also supports this exemption, which we are very glad to hear about. So we are hoping that council will also support this exemption today. And excuse me, I thank you all for your time.
So I am going to turn the chair to Councillor Lai and declare a conflict of interest. I did not recognize the house. Phyllis Gray is my aunt. So I will declare a conflict of interest. My last name I realize is Jennifer Gray. And that's my maiden name. Phyllis Gray is my aunt. Yes. So I am going to declare a conflict of interest, and I will pass the chair off to Councillor Lai.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So any question of the deputant? Seeing none?
Sorry.
Madam Deputy Chair?
Yes.
I have my hand up for questions.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see.
Maybe just your layout so you can
Well,
see.
I just have to see my layout. Sorry.
Sure.
Okay.
No problem. That's
Deputy
fine.
Mayor Thompson.
Thank you very much to the speaker. And so granting the exemption would provide the comfort for both your family and the neighbor. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Great. Thank you very much. Those are all my questions, Madam Deputy Chair.
Thank you. Any question of staff?
I have none. No.
Okay, thank you,
Oh,
Speaker.
actually, maybe I'll just ask staff one quick question. Thanks.
Thank you. Deputy
Through
Mayor,
you,
go ahead.
Madam Deputy Chair, to staff, the construction and the erection of a fence in a professional manner, is this something that the staff would check at some point, or is it that it's incumbent on the resident who's actually contracted to place the fence up, that they'll be doing that in a professional manner?
Good morning, through
Morning.
you, Madam Chair. Yes, we would, at the time of inspection, be checking for the materials and the construction to ensure that it is constructed in a good workmanship like manner. However, as you said, it is incumbent also on the property owner when they are hiring their contractors to make sure that the construction is suitable and meets the requirements of the bylaw.
Fair enough. Thank you very much. Those are all my questions, Madam Deputy Chair.
Thank you, Speaker. Deputy Mayor?
Yes, I'd like to speak. Madam Deputy Chair, I'd like to move that we grant the application for the exemption. I've had the pleasure of speaking with both parties. In fact, yesterday I attended both residents, and last night and this morning we had an opportunity to speak with the resident at number 37. And of course, as I mentioned, I spoke with the resident at 39 last night. This is an interesting situation. Both parties are seeking to have elements to their properties that is in keeping with their own interests. And at the same time, there are some adverse impact and so on. And I think that parties have agreed that the best measure and remedy to resolve the situation would be to have a fence that is about a 1.5 feet higher than the provision of the bylaw allows, which is 6.5 feet and so on. And so, again, I visited the site. I know both properties over the years. I know the residents of both areas and so on. And I'm delighted that in this case, both parties have agreed that this is a good thing. Both parties have offered the opportunity to continue to engage to resolve some of the challenges, and I've agreed that I would continue to meet with both parties to help them to reach a level of accommodation to allow for a smooth transactional go forward in terms of matters that are delicate in nature and so on. And I'm very pleased that parties are reasonable individuals and so on, or that are able to recognize the necessity and the need to have good neighborly relations and so on. And we're going to continue to work through that. So I want to thank the resident of number 37 and the residents of number 39 for their accommodation of interest to ensure that this particular matter is resolved in a very smooth and timely fashion at Community Council. So I ask that members of Community Council support the recommendation, which is to grant the application for an exemption permit to the property and the proponent at 39 McGregor Road. Thank you, Madam Deputy Chair.
Thank you. There's recommendation number 1, I suppose.
Well, in the report, it would be 2, but in as far as putting on the screen would be number 1, yes.
So any other speak, please?
I'd like to have a recorded
Yeah,
vote as-
seeing none, we have to have a recorded vote because the chair has declared conflict.
Yes.
Yes.
Small
so-
world.
So do we, does the clerk call on that or do
Yes, through
Okay.
the
Yes, please.
Vice Chair, I can call the recorded vote. So all in
Thanks, please.
favor of option 2 to grant. Councillor Thompson, Councillor Lai, Councillor Crawford, Councillor Ainsley, Councillor Mantis. That carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't see that. Is the chair back in her desk, or I guess I'll just carry on then.
The chair is returning, Madam Vice Chair.
Okay. All right then. Okay. Thank you, Chair. Going back to you.
Thank you for your indulgence. I scanned for financial conflict of interest, and I wasn't expecting to see a great aunt on the agenda. Apologies for that. Okay, going back to the agenda, then we were going to deal with the fences. So the next item is SC 31.25, application for fence exemption, 130 Holmcrest Trail. We have one deputant, Stephen Frazanis. Okay, you can come up to the front here. And you have 5 minutes.
Hi, can everybody hear me? Thanks for taking the time to let me speak. I'm the homeowner of 130 Holmcrest. This happened about 2 years ago. We had some challenges with our neighbors, and we submitted a note to the supervisor of the enforcement office and Jennifer's office about 2 years ago with details of our challenges. Basically, we built a fence that's 8 feet tall. The fence is in good taste. Our primary concern is privacy. I have a wife and 2 daughters. We're on an elevated level, and we all felt like we're on display, and we have a neighbor that likes to stare a lot. Also, liability. We have a pool, and therefore we have a greater amount of liability and the risk of somebody hopping the old fence and drowning. I witnessed a contractor jump the 6-foot fence with ease from Lawrence Avenue. Also, we back onto Lawrence Avenue, which is a high-traffic street, and it's a highway. I went to the fence code 44.7, and I thought I was in complete compliance. I clicked on pools, exemption, and I followed those rules. Thank you kindly for your kind consideration.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions of the deputant? Okay, thank you. Any questions of staff? Okay, seeing none. Speakers on the item? Okay, I'll speak. I will be moving option 2, grant the fence exemption. Okay, all those in favor? Oh, sorry, I have to wait for the screen to change back. All those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. That brings us to SC 31.
Thank you all.
Thank you. SC 31.27, application for fence exemption to Josaly Drive. We have one deputant listed. That is Stephen Lang. Sure. I think the clerk will need your name for the record, though.
Hi.
Go ahead. You have 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. So we live on Port Union. We live on Josaly, which is backing, like we are on a corner lots, and we are on the very busy road of Port Union. So we applied for a fence exemption back in 2020. Arjun Sahota did review the case, and he did advise us the steps, and then he told us verbally that there's really no reason for it to be rejected. And based on quality of life, we went ahead with it. They weren't having the hearings due to COVID, but he did tell us that there should be no issues with it. So definitely want to apologize for going ahead in that part of the process. It's been a quality of life issue. So earlier this year, I actually had an accident, and I'm actually dealing with a traumatic brain injury right now. So it's an invisible injury, and I can function normally, but it's been very debilitating for me. And one of the items is it makes me very, very sensitive to noise. So having the noise reducing fence does really help with my recovery and my quality of life. We also have an immediate neighbor on 4 Josaly Drive. He's a police officer, Jordan Hamid, and he shared that the reduction noise helps him sleep as well because he has odd hours. The officer who delivered the notice to our window did indicate there's no safety issue. With that, we have a few artifacts. I'm sorry. And we also did get a petition from our neighbors. So 21 neighbors on Josaly, they all support the fence. So thank you for your consideration.
Okay. Questions of the deputant? I have some questions. Anybody? So the side yard is one thing, but you're also extending into the front yard. So maybe could you speak to why? I mean, front yard exemptions are extremely rare. And they do, if we start granting front yard exemptions, like across the board, you know, we're going to not have any frontages. Nobody's going to have front yards. So can you speak to why there is a front fence? I mean, the side yard fence, I get it, but it's the front yard fence that I actually think is problematic.
Yeah, we are on the corner of Port Union and Josaly, and we have a very front window, and because of where the Port Union is located, and it's, I do understand that we are a little bit in the front. It is a small kind of curb in the front. It's not our front yard is 65 feet. It doesn't span the entire 65 feet. It's a small section of that, and that's just to curb the noise on Port Union, because when the cars come in Port Union, when we're in the living room, like it is absolutely like very noisy, and this helps deter the noise from Port Union. So the side is necessary for that as well, or the front is necessary for that as well, the small section of front.
Why didn't you seek the front exemption before you built the fence?
Well, Arjun had told us that he did not feel there was any issues with it. We had provided all of the artifacts in 2020, and he had indicated to us that there would be no reason for it to be rejected.
Maybe, but I don't know that he would have seen your design, your plans. Like, I mean, I think he's giving you guidance on process, and so extending into the front yard.
We did submit the plan, so our survey, we provided him the survey, the plans for it. So we provided, and I believe we sent all the artifacts in, so we did provide photos. So we did provide the plans with specifically what we're doing.
And where's the petition with the 21 signatures?
I have. There's a hard copy and soft
Is submitted as communication? Okay, that's fine. We can find it in the communications.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any additional questions for the speaker? Okay, thank you. Questions, staff? Okay, seeing none, just one moment. We need to prepare our motion.
Sorry, I had Councillor Ainsley.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Ainsley.
Yeah, to staff, sorry, the deputant said that they submitted a plan of what they were building that went into staff before they asked for the variance?
Through you, Madam Chair, I'm just taking a quick look at the file. I don't see anything specifically prior to the fence exemption application having been submitted. I might have to do a deeper dive, but I think it was submitted alongside with the application.
Okay. And then, so I understand the fence is it made of cement?
It's a stone, I believe.
Stone, but it looks, from the pictures, it looks uniform. Like if we told them to, you know, cut it down. So it's, Elena, it's 2 feet over?
Through you, Madam Chair, sorry, just 1 second. I'm just going to open up the report again, and I will let you know. So in the flankage yard, which is the side yard, 2 meters is what is the permitted height, and the fence is 8 feet 7 inches, so probably 2.4 meters, I guess, or in and around there. And in the front yard, the maximum that is permitted in a front yard is 1.2 meters.
Okay, so I have trouble with my metric versus imperial, Elena. So like one's in metric and one's, even in the report, one's in metric and one's in imperial. So I had trouble figuring out how much they were over the allowed height.
Apologies. So the 1.2 meters I can tell you is 4 feet. So the height of the fence currently is 8 feet 7 inches. And the 2 meters in the flankage yard equates to 6 feet 6 inches. And again, the height of that fence is 8 feet 7 inches.
So 2 feet. And then at the front yard, how much is it over?
So the maximum height is 4 feet. 1.2 inches, 2 meters would be about 4 feet, and it is double pretty much that, maybe even just a
Okay.
little more than doubled.
And from the picture, it looks like it's almost right across the front of the house.
As the deputant indicated, it doesn't extend the entire front yard, but a portion of it.
Okay. And if we didn't allow this, I guess they'd have to take the whole fence down and build something suitable.
So through you, Madam Chair, the materials are acceptable. It would be the height. So they would have to reduce the height.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any additional questions of the deputant? Sorry, of staff. Any additional questions? Okay, speakers to the item? Okay, we'll move option 2 to grant. Grant the application for a fence exemption permit to the property owners at 2 Josaly Drive, allowing the existing fence to remain with conditions. So when we'll move back to vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. Okay, that brings us back to the top of the agenda. SC 31.1, City-Initiated Zoning Bylaw Amendment to Implement Scarborough Subway Extension. Final report, Ward 2021-23-24, Statutory Planning Act. Deputy Mayor Thompson held the item.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you for your indulgence in changing and varying the order in order to get through the fence exemptions. Through you to staff, my first question, in the report, it indicated that there have been several consultation meetings that have taken place and so on. How many of those meetings took place?
Through the chair, there was one virtual public consultation on January 25th, 2020.
Thank you very much for that. And now the report sort of indicated that there were no real concerns raised by the residents. Everyone were fairly happy. Is that the thread of it?
Through you, the chair, yes. A lot of the questions were about like existing transit plans or other transit plans throughout the city. So there were not very many questions directly related to the work.
Oh, okay, great. Can you walk me through then, please? There's a diagram on page, I think it's page 7, and it has a number of the infrastructure project addresses and so on. Madam Chair, I don't know if it's just me. I'm just hearing a lot of background noise.
Apologies, I think it's me. My mic was on. Let's see if this makes it better.
Oh, no problem. Okay, that's much better. Thank you very much for that. I'm just wanting to have a better understanding of the chart there. It says the infrastructure project gives the address, it gives the location description, and it also has the regulatory bylaws, et cetera, et cetera. Are all these properties being either expropriated or being purchased as part of the subway expansion plan for Scarborough?
Through you, the chair, yes. They are all being acquired by Metrolinx.
Right. And just with respect to their location to proximity to other properties, as part of the infrastructure work that's going to be done, what provision is being put in place to either allow for people to actually report any issues around damage, vibration, noise, and so on? Because these are some of the complaints that I've had from members of the community, and obviously it didn't come through the consultation process. I'm just wondering what provision is being put in place to allow people to report. Will they be calling my office or will they be calling the TTC? What is the mechanism, please?
Through you, the chair, any residents that want to discuss project-related elements to the Scarborough Subway Extension are encouraged to, reach out to Metrolinx through their community office related to the Scarborough project.
Okay, Madam Chair, I see a time of 6 minutes and 12 seconds. Have I used that much time? Or was the time already going from the last discussion?
No, it was still going. You have 2 more minutes.
Okay, just fair enough. Good. I'm just wondering, as part of this report, you have the sort of private, there's 2 specific homes. There's a home on 23 Valparaiso and also then 642 McCowan. So those homes, those homeowners are happy with respect to the arrangement that's been made as part of the process. Were they expropriated, or was it just simply an offer made and was it accepted?
Through you, the chair, Metrolinx is working with any homeowners that will be impacted by the new transit line, and Metrolinx has reached out to the property owners. I believe it was in December of last year. They started their negotiations with them, and we are not involved in those negotiations.
Okay, so this report is really seeking to remove the H holding. Is that the primary part of this, as part of that?
Yes, through you, the chair. At the future Scarborough Centre Station, there was a holding provision under the former City of Scarborough Employment District bylaw, and this report seeks to remove that holding for those sites that will become the future site of the station.
All right, thank you very much for those answers, and thank you, Madam Chair. Those are all the questions that I have.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Are there any additional questions of staff? Seeing none, we'll move to speakers. Deputy Mayor.
I just wanted to thank the staff for answering the questions. Oftentimes there is a situation where, I guess, members of the public may go to a meeting and may not fully ask some of the questions that they may pose to us as councillors and so on. And that's part of the reason why I've asked some of the questions here today. But I'm happy with respect to the report. It's very detailed, and the rationale and as to what needs to happen in order to move the expansion of transit, which is badly needed in our community. And so this report seeks to accelerate that particular process, and I'm fully in support of this in order to get things moving in our community. So thank you, Madam Chair, and I could actually move the report.
Okay, any additional speakers on the item? Okay, all those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. That brings us to SC 31.2, final report, 250 Danforth Road. We have 2 deputants. The first deputant is David Sharazenko with Boosfields. Do you have David online? David, you have 5 minutes.
Good morning. For you, Madam Chair, my name is David Sharazenko. I am a senior associate at Boosfields. We are planning consultants to the applicants at 250 Danforth Road. I wanted to address the committee today in support of staff's recommendations in the final report, and let the committee members know that we have been working extensively with staff from various departments over the last 2 years, principally on the current development proposal, addressing technical issues from road connections and public realm improvements. And we support the proposed development from a land use perspective for a mixed use designation site of mixed use areas and neighborhoods. We believe that the proposal provides for housing options in the Warden Woods neighborhood, as well as an appropriate built form that transitions to the surrounding neighborhoods. And I'm available to address any questions that the committee might have. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the deputant? Okay, seeing none, questions of staff? Seeing none, speakers on this item?
Yeah, Madam.
Councillor Crawford?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to move.
Oh, apologies. We have one more deputant. We have one more.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry. No, that is my fault. We have additional deputant, right? Okay, Elvis? We don't have them online? Okay. Okay. Okay, we are good. Sorry, that was a close call there. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Crawford.
Oh, very quickly, so I want to move staff recommendations. I want to this application actually precedes me as a councillor, so it's been in the community, I guess in the development pipeline for a number of years. I'm supportive of that. I was actually speaking with a number of community members yesterday as part of a cleanup who are, from my perspective, very supportive of that, recognizing that area is in need of development, but the right kind of development. And I think the overall community, again, is supportive of this. Just would like to move staff recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers on the item? Okay, seeing none, we'll vote on the item. All those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. That brings us to SC 31.3, final report 2567 Eglinton Avenue Road East zoning bylaw amendment application. We have one speaker, Costa Derbish. Okay, you have 5 minutes, Costa.
Hello, yes, through you, Madam Chair. My name is Costa Derbish. I'm representing the applicant at 2567 Eglinton Avenue East. I'm just in support of the staff recommendation. I've been the planner on the file and worked extensively back and forth with city staff, planning, and various other departments. And I'm here to offer any answers to any questions that staff have. Or, sorry, council.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the deputant? Okay, seeing none. Questions of staff? Seeing none. Speakers on this item?
Again, thank you. I'll speak very, very quickly, thanking staff, the applicant for working very well together. An example of some of the development, not only in Scarborough, but along Eglinton, that's going to, in many respects, change the face of Eglinton, which is positives and negatives of that. But this is an example of one of those developments that will actually help and assist the community over time once it's put in. So I just want to thank the applicant, community, and of course the staff for the work on this. And I'll move staff recommendations.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no additional speakers, vote on the recommendations. All those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. That brings us to SC 31.4, final report 3559 to 3471 Sheppard Avenue East zoning amendment application. We have two deputants. The first deputant is Jane McFarland. Jane, you have 5 minutes.
Very good. Thank you very much. Good morning, members of council. My name is Jane McFarland. I'm a planner with Weston Consulting, who is the applicant for this application at 3471 Sheppard Avenue. The proposal in front of you today contemplates a 12-story mixed-use building that has been cultivated with staff, various departments, in terms of the proposal that we're seeking approval of today. We're very happy with what we've achieved with staff and the resulting built form, which is consistent and conforms with provincial policy, official plan, and especially the Sheppard Warden Avenue study and the site and area specific policy that's applicable to the property. I'm here today to indicate that we are in agreement with the recommendations as put forward on the final report from planning staff, and I'm available to answer any questions from council today or respond to any questions from the public.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions of the deputant? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to the next deputant, Tao Ding. Do we have Tao online? Okay, the deputant isn't here, so we will move to questions of staff. Okay, seeing none. Speakers on the item? Councillor Mantis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say thank you to all staff for all the great work that they've done on this project. and I would like to move staff recommendations.
Okay, any additional speakers on the item? Seeing none, we'll, oh, sorry, Deputy Mayor, was that speaking or voting?
Vote.
Okay, great. Okay, all those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. That brings us to SC 31.5, Final Report 113 to 141 Montezuma Trail. We have 5 speakers. Our first speaker is Jim Karajanis. Jim, do we have you on the line? You have 5 minutes.
Good morning, Madam Chair. I want to thank the councillor and staff for all the work that's been done on this. This is a 2-part project. The Montezuma, the plaza was divided in half. The bottom half was zoned, and then conversations with staff and the councillor, the top half was also zoned. And I want to thank everybody for making this happen, and certainly will be a great addition to the neighborhood. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Karajanis. Are there any questions of the deputant? Okay, seeing none, we will move to the next deputant, Tony Valpensa. Do we have Tony in line? Tony, you have 5 minutes.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, rest of Community Council. My name is Tony Volpentesta. I'm a planner partner with Bousfields. We're the planning consultant and the applicant on behalf of the owner, Montezuma Plaza, Inc. I'd like to advise Community Council that we have reviewed the final report provided to you by Community Planning with our client and concur with the findings of the report, are in agreement with regard to the recommendations contained therein. And we thank Community Planning for all their efforts. I'd like to respond to a couple of issues raised by the report itself and the nature of the proposal. Firstly, what deserves to be highlighted is the fact that this proposal has effectively, as Mr. Karajanis has already indicated, has effectively already been half approved, with 37 units already approved in 2019. That represents about 46% of the overall proposal of 81 units. Secondly, we are aware of a petition that has been filed in opposition to the proposal. The petition highlights concerns regarding increased traffic and pedestrian safety concerns, as well as a secondary concern regarding the size of the units and the possibility that this would be converted to rooming houses. With regard to the issue of increased traffic and pedestrian safety, I would highlight the fact that the city's transportation department has conducted its own analysis and has concurred with the findings of our client's transportation consultant that there will in fact be a reduction in the overall number of traffic trips compared to the original existing plaza. With regard to unit size, the proposed units will be high quality, 3 and 4 bedroom condominium units with large a level of rooftop terraces that measure about 16 by 13 feet. The average size of each unit is about 1,260 square feet. Not 900 square feet as suggested in the petition. And as a proposed condominium, the prospect of a rooming house would be severely limited, or in fact, our client would be supportive of a restriction that would prohibit such rooming house uses in the condo documents. Lastly, we would point out that the proposed development is a fine example of gentle intensification, aka also known as the missing middle, and should be approved. The integration of retail at the north end of the site along Ellesmere is intended to provide an important community asset in terms of local serving retail and service commercial. We think that this proposal has all the key ingredients of an ideal low-rise, gentle intensification project. With that, Mr. Wassermule and Mr. Terry Wallace, our project traffic consultant, are available to answer questions. I think they are 2 of your 5 deputants, Madam Chair. So those 2 people don't necessarily have to be called if no questions are directed back to us. With that, those are my comments, and I thank you, Madam Chair, and I thank the rest of Community Council. Thank you.
Okay, are there any questions of the deputant? Okay, I am still required just to call their names, but then they can just say that they have no comments. And sorry, there was no questions, deputants, just checking the screen again. Okay, that brings us to the next speaker, Saul Wassermule. Saul?
Yes, thank you. I'm just here really to answer any questions that may be required. I'm happy to weigh Mr. Vauban test as presented the project. Thank you.
Okay, any questions, Deputant? Okay, seeing none, the next Deputant is Terry Wallace. Terry, you have 5 minutes.
No comments from me. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I know it's awkward. Any questions of the Deputant? Okay, seeing none, the final Deputant, Julia Gregoire. Julia, are you with us? You have 5 minutes.
Yes, I am. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, council members. I just wanted to voice my support for the recommendations and for this development. I agree that it is a good example of gentle density and the missing middle that the city so desperately needs, especially out in Scarborough area. And that's all my comments for this. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the Deputant? Okay, seeing none, questions of staff. Councillor Lai.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, I just wanted to confirm with staff that maintenance of the retail use on the site. Can you address that, please?
Okay. Good morning, Madam Chair and Member of Council. My name is Marian Barsoum. I'm the planner managing this application for 113 to 141 Montezuma Trail. Thank you, Councillor, for your question. The draft zoning bylaw secure 300 square meters and proposed for retail, commercial, and non-residential uses. The retail uses are fronting in Ellesmere Boulevard, and maintenance for the units will be secured by future condominium cooperation and future owners of the retail units.
And parking seems to be a large issue for the area residents. How many parking spots are there, and will there be on-street parking as part of the proposal?
Thank you for your question. There are 81 residential parking spaces, where 1 retail space and 8 visitor parking are proposed to be secured in the zoning bylaw. No specific street parking is secured through the zoning bylaw, and any on-street parking will be governed by the enforced street parking rules for Brimley, Ellesmere, or Montezuma. However, transportation services staff may have comments to that effect.
So you're saying that there's only 1 spot for the retail use and 8 visitor parking. So how can you justify that is enough for the how many square meter of commercial space that you're dealing with?
We've actually looked at transportation services looked into this, and I will just say my comments, and transportation services can add to the comments. The 8 parking are actually for the 8 visitor parking can be shared with the retails for a quick stopping to pick up something from the retails and quick stop out. So that's how it was addressed at that time. But I will let transportation to say anything additional if they have.
Through the chair, it's Lucas Pavlovsky here from Transportation Services. Yes, so I would second those comments. Having a shared visitor and commercial parking arrangement works well for the site because we expect that residential visitors typically visit the site at a different time than commercial visitors. So having a shared arrangement is probably the most efficient way to utilize limited parking.
Okay, thank you. While on the subject of parking and traffic, how can we reduce congestion and improve pedestrian safety, cyclists, and the vehicle in the area, in particularly the Montezuma Trail, where it intersects with Ellesmere and Brimley Road? Are there any traffic calming measures coming on this one, for this?
Well, as a result of this development application, I mean, we are securing all, pedestrian facilities around the site to the latest city standards. So we're talking about sidewalks and those kind of things. When we're talking about broader network issues, certainly those types of issues would not be the responsibility of a development of this nature to look at other issues that are pre-existing in the community.
Okay, my last question is for planning staff. Staff is recommending approval of the application, and in the report it says it meets provincial policy statement and our own official plan. So if it's turned down, what likelihood of success would the applicant have at the appeal board?
Through the chair, Councillor, I'll take this one on. You mentioned we've reviewed the application and are recommending approval on its planning merit, which is potentially foreshadowing what the OLT could do if Community Council were to reverse that recommendation. But I would hesitate to comment on likelihood or anything to that effect. It's not a strategy that we're using in evaluating the application. The application stands on its own and we feel is ready for approval, subject to the conditions put before you.
Okay, there's a condition about the engineering report subject to the condition. So can you, is that a normal condition or can you just elaborate? That's my last question, Madam Chair.
Again, through the chair, it is a condition that we do use when the principle of the engineering solution has been worked through and is generally acceptable to engineering construction services, but there may be some final details that need to be worked out. And my understanding here is that we're inches away. The material has been filed and it's just under review.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, staff. And thank you, Madam Chair. Those are my questions.
Thank you, Councillor Lai. Are there any additional questions? Okay, speakers on this item? Councillor Lai?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to, the history of the site is that the first proposal was 37 townhouses, and then the south portion would retain as commercial use. And when the new application come in, I said that, I have an issue because of there's no commercial component to the site, and where, and then we work with staff and we work with the applicant, and now we've got about 5 commercial spaces on the site, which is a good thing. And I thank staff and I thank the applicant for working very diligently to fulfill the residents' needs and to listen to the residents. And also the residents are concerned about parking. And I'm happy to see that there is about 9 parking spaces for the whole complex, which is, I think the applicant has done a great deal of work trying to accommodate some of these concerns by the residents. And the other thing I'd like to thank the applicant is that there is about $125,000 Section 37 money for the community that we can use for park improvements. So my final comment quickly is that change is not easy, but I listened to staff, and staff has their expertise, and they're recommending approval, and it meets the requirement of the provincial policy statement, the Place to Growth Act, and our official plan policies. So I will be supporting and thank staff and the applicant for working very diligently to make sure that all the residents' concerns are being handled. And also, throughout this process, we found out that there's a lot of traffic calming, and then we need to really deal with on Montezuma Trail, and there's a lot of illegal parking and all that kind of thing. I thank all the residents for writing my office and communicating with my office to make sure that going forward, we're going to handle this traffic calming and then make sure that this development is going to be working for all the residents, and so everybody will benefit from this new development. Thank you. Those are my comments.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Lai. Are there any additional speakers on this item? Okay, Councillor Lai, you're moving staff recommendations?
Yes, please.
Okay, all those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. That brings us to SC 31.7, preliminary report 36 to 40 Ellesmere Road zoning application. Councillor Thompson, you held the item. Sorry, Deputy Mayor.
Yes, Madam Chair. I'd like to move a deferral on this item to the next community council meeting. I have a motion.
Okay. Any questions of the mover or speak to the deferral? All those in favor? All those opposed? The deferral carries. That brings us to SC 31.8 preliminary report 20 Stonehill Court zoning bylaw amendment, Ward 22. We have one speaker, Miroslav Glavich. Hello, you have 5 minutes.
Okay, you can hear me. Okay. I don't per se have an issue with the with the building. One of my issues, well, one issue. Where is it? Where's the 120-meter application site? That when you have construction during the construction period, it affects the local community, the local community. And all the extra people moving in. If you live 3 meters south, 123 meters of the construction site, you're not going to get a notification. It would be nice if Councillor Mantes on his website would include details of that community consultation on the report, because not everybody lives within 120 meters. The Finch and Warden area, that the Briarwood Mall is construction. It can affect access to that mall, and Briarwood Mall is a key, is the center of the community in that area. And I have family there that could be affected by the noise of the construction. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you for your deputation. Any questions of the deputant? Okay, seeing none. Questions of staff? Councillor Mantis?
Madam Chair, sorry, no questions of staff.
Okay, go ahead, speak.
So just to, Madam Chair and colleagues, just to clarify on Miroslav's comment, the application will be on the website and it will be sent also to the residents in our email list. The 120 meters, as we know, all is the standard statutory requirement that is needed. So saying that, I would like to thank the staff for everything that they're doing and for their continued work. And I would like to move the staff recommendations for the community now.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else speak to the item? All those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. That brings us to SC 31.9 preliminary report 750 Huntingwood Drive zoning bylaw amendment application in Ward 22. We have 4 speakers. The first speaker is Mr. Jim Karajanis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'd like to, we have our team online. Should there be any questions? I know this is a preliminary report. I want to thank staff for getting us to this point. And if you have any questions, Malhotra and Cindy will be there to answer any of your questions. I thank you for your diligence.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the deputant? Okay, seeing none. The next speaker is Nitin Malhotra. Do you have Nitin online?
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair. This is Nitin Malhotra. We are the architects on this project. Yeah, we are in support of this application and we are here to answer any questions that the council may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the deputant? Okay, seeing none. The next speaker is Cindy Lee. Do we have Cindy online?
Hello. Yeah, I'm Cindy Lee from an architecture. I'm the urban designer and the planner. I come here to support this recommendation. In case you there are any questions, I will answer.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions of the deputant? Okay, seeing none, that brings us to Miroslav Glavich. Miroslav, are you in line? You have 5 minutes.
Hello? You can hear me?
We can hear you. You
This
have
is
5 minutes.
This is about 750 Huntingwood, right? Correct?
Yes.
Okay. There's two things. One, hold on. There's a tiny little error on the summary. It says 750 Huntingdale Drive, not 750 Huntingwood Drive. Two, according to, for disclosure's sake, as of May 1st, I'm going to be living in the Huntingwood Birchmont area. That, according to the map, if you load on my computer, the way the site map is site plan attachment 5, that's page 10. That driveway is too close. It's me too close to Birchmont. There's a DTC bus stop. The 169 Huntingwood Drive bus westbound bus stop is going to be there. It's too close to Birchmont. And if you have been in the Birchmont Huntingwood area, anytime around rush hour or anything like that, traffic is horrible there. Right now, unless something changed in the past 3 years, there's a fake house, one of those hydro fake houses, whatever. The idea of the driveway is beyond horrible, with all due respect. It's going to cause a traffic mess when somebody wants to get out of the townhouse. I don't know if any of you have been in the area. You should look at it in person, and there's no way it's going to make that community a happy community. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions to the deputant? Okay. Seeing none, questions to staff? Staff have acknowledged they will correct the typo. Any questions to staff? Seeing none, speakers of the item? Councillor Mantis?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just like to move staff recommendations.
Okay. Councillor Mantis moving staff recommendations. All those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. That brings us to SC 31.11 Woodside Square Planning Review Proposals Report in Ward 23. We have one deputant, Courtney Heron-Monk. Courtney, are you in the line? You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of Community Council. Again, my name is Courtney Heron-Monk. I'm an associate with Bousfields, who is the planning consultant to the owner of Woodside Square Mall, located at 1571 Sandhurst Circle. I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank staff for their work to date on the Woodside Square Planning Review and for their collaborative efforts as well on the rezoning application that is running parallel with their study. We've been consulting closely with staff since 2019, and we've been having proactive conversations about a range of community benefits for this project. We're looking forward to continuing our work together on this exciting city building opportunity that will bring new housing, public parkland, community uses, and complementary retail space around the existing mall. I'd be happy to answer any questions about the development plan if there are any. Otherwise, that's it for me. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the deputant? Okay, seeing none, questions of staff? Councillor Lai?
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. I just have a quick question of staff. This is a proposal report. Can you tell us what that means?
Through the chair, what it's doing is checking in with council to see how, to demonstrate how the work has evolved since it was initiated, since the report initiating the study was adopted by community council. It's asking for adoption or endorsement of policy directions. So it doesn't have any specific policies. It's not a statutory report, which is bringing any policy forward, but it's making sure we're on the right track, essentially, as we proceed towards a final report on both the planning review, which is the policy framework, and as the deputant mentioned, the concurrent development application.
So in other words, residents will still have time for further input through the consultation process if they so wish.
Through the chair, yes, that's correct.
Thank you. Those are my questions. Thank you, staff. Thank you, Christian. And thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Lai. Any additional questions of staff? Okay, seeing none speakers on the item. Councillor Lai.
Madam Chair, yeah, since this is a proposal report, I think I'll just move staff recommendation, please.
Okay, thank you.
If there are no further speakers, that is.
Any additional speakers to this item? Seeing none, Councillor Lai is moving staff recommendations. All those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. That brings us to SC 31.19, Metrolinx Scarborough Subway Extension, Scarborough Centre Go Bus relocation. Deputy Mayor Thompson held the item. Questions of staff?
Yes, Madam Chair. I wonder whether or not staff can just give us a quick what is being asked. What is the plan layout? I know the report speaks to it, but there are probably folks watching that haven't read the report.
Through you, Madam Chair, good morning. I introduce myself as Navi Tathkar, the Manager of Transit Infrastructure Projects Unit in Transportation Services. Good morning to you, Deputy Mayor. Good morning. As noted in the report, TTC is going to decommission the SRT Line 3 in 2023. In order to use additional bus bays in the Scarborough terminal, they have asked Metrolinx to relocate their existing 6 GO bus bays from the STC terminal. In order to maintain the bus service in the area and provide connectivity, much needed connectivity rather, to the people of Scarborough, Metrolinx explored different opportunities, different locations within Scarborough, and also consulted with the Deputy Mayor's Office, TTC, as well as the city staff. Out of the shortlisted locations, the current proposal is to relocate these 6 bus bays on the east side of Borough Drive between Triton Road and Progress Avenue. So there will be 6 bus bays that will be exclusively used for Go Bus service only. And in order to provide the pedestrian facilities, wayfinding, Metrolinx is currently coordinating with Oxford Properties, that is the owner of Scarborough Centre, and also with TTC. So that is underway, and also Metrolinx is currently working on the detailed design of these bus bays, taking into consideration all the pedestrian safety measures, all the pedestrian connectivity and signage, and city's transportation staff will review that design and comment accordingly. There will be provisions of additional lighting. There will be provisions of tactile strips. There will be provisions of up to 4 bus shelters. There will be Presto infrastructure there. There will be garbage receptacles, and all those amenities will be provided. Deputy Mayor, through you, Madam Chair, to Deputy Mayor, at this stage, we have just the preliminary design that just shows pretty much where the bus bays are going to be located. Just for the council's reference, each bus bay will be around 15.5 meter long. So that is sort of the brief overview within the allotted time. Through you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So, Madam Chair, those are sort of, I asked for an overview of that, so I'd like to now ask questions. So with respect to the discussion with Oxford, part of the conversation I had with staff when we met on site is to ensure that there's a way through the mall in order to allow access to the trains and so on during times when the mall may not be open at that particular point in time. How is that discussion going?
Through you, Madam Chair, to Deputy Mayor, those discussions are currently progressing. As far as I know, based on the latest information, the mall has agreed to open the gates half an hour earlier than their usual opening time, which is 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. during Monday to Saturday, and 11 to 7 on Sundays. Although it was highlighted by Oxford that there is a walk program that goes on in the mall, and for that, the gates do open around 6 a.m.
Right. And your original preference was to place the bays in the area around where the YMCA is located. Is that correct?
Through you, Madam Chair, Deputy Mayor, yes, that is correct. That location was also reviewed, but also due to the proximity to the residences and also due to the loss of on-street parking spaces, this alternative location was considered.
Right. And that area is now going to be animated, obviously, with respect to the proposals that we actually have, which is reflected on page 5 of 6.
Through you, Madam Chair, yes.
And just with respect, I guess my final question to you, and I think you touched on it a little bit. One of the concerns that we had was around safety and security. Can you maybe just give us some ideas as to what types of additional improvements will be implemented in this area to ensure for the safety of people in the area and passengers of the GO system?
Through you, Madam Chair, to Deputy Mayor Thompson. Definitely, I think the information is the key, first of all, and we want to make sure that the people who are transferring between the Scarborough terminal and the relocated bus spaces, they have a clear wayfinding. And number 2 will be, as I mentioned earlier, there will be additional lighting. There will be tactile strips. The sidewalk along the east side of Borough Drive will be widened to include additional pedestrian traffic. And above all, through you, Madam Chair, to Deputy Mayor, transportation staff have asked Metrolinx to explore the opportunity of future-proofing to install CCTV at this location. So that opportunity is currently being explored. Although I do want to highlight here to the council, city does not have the ability to monitor those CCTV, but we wanted to make sure that that provision is incorporated.
Right. And just finally, I'd said that was my final question, but something just came up. Have you looked at the proposal for 25 Borough Drive, the development of the 3 purpose-built rental buildings on that site? Have you looked at that just in terms of how that will impact the work there, impact the construction activities and so on taking place in the future?
Through you, Madam Chair, Deputy Mayor, we have looked into that. Although I must admit that at this stage, we do not have enough information to make a sound judgment on how the construction is going to progress. We have looked into some opportunity here that perhaps a jug handle can be created in the future when the Borough Drive is straightened, and that jug handle, meaning the existing Borough Drive, can only be for the GO bus for the GO bus service. So that is what we have examined so far through you, Madam Chair. And as the construction details unfold, we will be coming back to the council to discuss if there is any change that is required on the existing Borough Drive.
Fantastic. Thank you. Those are all my questions, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Are there any additional questions on this item? Okay, seeing none. Speakers on this item? Deputy Mayor?
Madam Chair. Yes, thank you very much, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I move this report and this item. It is here for action, and certainly we need to take action on it. My office and Metrolinx and staff with Transportation Services and TTC have met on a number of occasions to discuss this proposal by Metrolinx to move the GO bus terminal into an area that would not have an impact on the community in that the initial area that GO liked would have had great impact on the community. The YMCA area, all the parking would have been lost there for moms and dads dropping their kids off to go swim. They would not be the ability. There is not enough parking at the moment that the YMCA has. And at 55 Borough Drive, there was some consideration about using their parking. They don't have enough as it is. And so at this location, which I identified for Metrolinx and staff to examine, they've obviously now come back and they're accepting of it, and I'm very pleased. There were concerns around how we ensure the overall safety of this area, and I think that animating this area will be very good for this portion of Borough Drive. Its proximity to the Scarborough Town Centre. During my discussions with the team, I expressed the need for consultation and discussion to take place with Oxford to ensure that the mall would have an opportunity to create accessibility to the train itself. And so I'm delighted to hear that there's ongoing discussions around opening up areas of the mall earlier in order to ensure that people can actually travel through the mall as opposed to trying to go around this big plaza. And of course, we talk about wayfinding in order to make it suit comfortable and easier for people to get around and so on. So I'm quite pleased with the report. It addresses all of those things, and as has been stated, the kid, as Navi has indicated, there'd be some challenges, but I think those are challenges that we can work through. So I'm really delighted to see this and the continuity of service for those who are obviously clients of Go, and perhaps those who will be new clients of Go because of the proximity and what I think is a much easier opportunity. And at the same time, it lessens the overall impact of traffic and noise and the diesel fuel and that creates an impact on the environment. And the residents at Town Centre Court and Burr Drive in that area to the east are not going to be impacted at all. And so it's a winning formula for all and create better transit options for everyone in the community. So thank you very much for the report, and I can move the item, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Are there any additional speakers on this item? Okay, I think we all look forward to writing. All those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. SC 3122 Tilley Drive Road Concerns. We have one deputant, Jill Mack. Jill, are you on the line? You have 5 minutes.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry about that. I have the webcast going at the same time. I wasn't sure which, it's confusing. Anyways, thanks for having me. I wanted to speak about Tilley Drive and how can I put this? Vision Zero. Okay. I'm echoing. Are you guys getting my echo? Am I echoing for you guys as well or no?
You need to turn down the volume on the second device.
Okay. Which am I on? Am I on the phone or webcast?
You're on the phone, so if you have to turn the webcast volume down.
I'll close that down. Sorry about that.
Okay, we'll come back to Jill. She just disconnected. Okay, we'll move to the next item. We'll come back. SC 3129, U-turn prohibition, McNicoll Avenue, immediately west of Kennedy Road. The speaker is Miroslav Glavich. Miroslav, you have 5 minutes.
Yes, 100,000 times yes. Northwest corner of Kennedy and what's called McNicoll is Merriweather Catholic Secondary School. That was my high school. The same issue that's been happening with the illegal turns was there when I was 15 and I got hit by a car. I'm in my mid-40s. This needs to be done. with all due respect to procedures, I don't like the fact that you have to go to council because it has a TTC route. Etobicoke, Northwick, and Downtown Council should really have a say on what happens in that community in Scarborough. That is a dangerous area with a lot of U-turns. Stand there in the morning or that area is where people are going to the community center and dropping the kids off in high school. This is the best motion I have seen in Scarborough Community Council in the past 10 years. Thank you, Councillor Mantes. Please do support it. That's it. Again.
Thank you. Are there questions of the deputant? Okay. Speakers on this item? Sorry, questions to staff. No questions to staff. Speakers on this item? Okay. Councillor Mantes?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just would like to thank Cheryl and her team for all the work that they've done for the item for the U-turn prohibition, and I would like to move staff recommendations.
Thank you. Any additional speakers on this item? Okay, we will move. Councillor Mantes is moving staff recommendations. All those in favor? All those opposed? That item carries. That brings us back up to SC 3122. I believe the deputy has been reconnected. Jill, you have 5 minutes.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so my issues are with Tilley Drive and the actions that you are taking. Now, I understand that Port Union Road is an arterial road. Oh, and thank you for having me. Okay, so the object, like the purpose of an arterial road is you're basically making Port Union Road a throughway. And it's supposed to be flow of traffic north to south, correct? So, plaza entrances are not encouraged with that, yet you're allowing it to happen, and you're aligning it with Tilley Drive. Now, when that plaza entrance was put in, it was on Ravine Park Plaza. They got an entrance on Ravine Park. The plaza is called Ravine Park Plaza. The entrance that was there was for a 2-pump gas station in an open field. I feel, and so do the residents on Tilley and other streets like Lawson and Clapperson and Conference, all feel that that entrance should be closed. But the concern is with, plaza traffic. And this is interrupting, the flow of traffic on a throughway. And aligning it with Tilley Drive is creating a major problem for us, which we already have, with people using Tilley as a cut-through to avoid lights on Port Union Road. Tilley is also used for kids to get to Centennial Road Public School. There's a walk-through, like a catwalk for kids. And this is also a major concern for children that live on this street. People travel on this street at 90 kilometers an hour. And the same speeds they travel on Port Union Road. Lowering the speed limit does not a bit of good. There is no police policing the street. This is a major concern for us who live here. We ask that Tilley Drive be made a full closure, which is a Vision Zero initiative. Seems the city is not willing to implement, which says it can be made just a straight line with a pass-through for emergency vehicles and maintenance trucks, which is what we asked for, and no expropriation of property would be required. Yet the city keeps saying, we'll have to expropriate property and there will have to be a turnaround. That's not required according to Vision Zero. So I would like to know why the city is not willing to implement Vision Zero on this. It's something that they have and something that it states. Yet you guys keep talking about turnaround, expropriating property when it's not necessary. And why is the plaza entrance remaining on Port Union Road? This is a danger to the people who live here. People have moved out. People are not happy, yet the city councillor does not listen. I would like an answer. This is upsetting to the people who live here. Very upsetting. We're all afraid for our children, and we have a lot of elderly living on this street and a lot of children. And this seems to be the least concern from the council. The concern seems to be just flow of traffic. Our most vulnerable must be considered, and they haven't been considered in this. I would like to know why. Does anyone have an answer?
So the process is that you're allowed to speak and we ask questions. Are you completed your
Oh.
deputation?
No, I guess I'm not then. Well, clearly it's not an issue for you guys, but it is an issue for us who live here. And this street is used as a cut through to avoid lights at Port Union and Lawson. They come along Witchy and zip down Tilly at high speeds and then zip around the corner. When I'm crossing Tilly, like going north-south along, I have to look behind me because cars whip around this corner. And I live very close to the corner. And there's other concerns, too. When that plaza was built, they said, oh, we'll put up a bunch of trees so that lights don't shine into the people's houses. Well, those trees have been cut down. And we get people parking in that parking spot. They're sitting there all night with their lights on, their high beams on, shining into people's houses. And this doesn't seem to be a concern. So, you know, you guys can lower the speed limit, great, but nobody's abiding by it. Nobody's policing that street. 27 accidents, and now you're moving them to the foot of Tilly. Okay, that's all I have to say.
Thank you for your deputation. Are there any questions of the deputants? Deputy Mayor Thompson?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Through you to the deputant. I think I've heard you mention you wanted to have Tilly closed. Is that what you said?
Full closure, which is a Vision Zero. We had 81% of the street say yes, please make Tilly a full closure. 81%. Right. That's high, and there's a reason for it. Nobody listened. They just said, "Oh, we'll take the least amount of measures we have to take."
Right.
In order to appease.
So sorry. Thank you very much for that. So so someone traveling on Port Union Road now, they can turn into Tilly Drive. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you're hoping, sorry, and that, yeah, but you would like to prevent that from happening.
Ask for full closure of Tilly Drive, which could be a straight, like a passage in the middle, which is part of Vision Zero. We asked for just a straight cut through, which would allow maintenance vehicles to continue to go through only, and like city maintenance vehicles and emergency vehicles passage only, because people use it to cut through to avoid lights at Lawson and Port Union.
Right.
And
so
it's
can
an amount.
Thank you very much for that, ma'am. But one of the things I've learned over time is that when you solve one problem, you create another. I'm just wondering, a general overview in terms of impact, in terms of other areas. Has that been discussed with you, or have you looked at that at all?
I've spoken to people on Witchy. I got people on Witchy to sign. I didn't do all of Witchy because it's pretty long, but I did all of Tilly, and I hit the corner houses, and I did Witchy, from Witchy to Lawson Road. There's no lights there. On Lawson Road and Witchy, there is a park across the street, a bus stop. Lots of kids cross there, yet there's not even stop signs there, or a crosswalk or anything. And a lot of people cross at Tilly and Port Union Road to get into the plaza. Like, a lot of people come down walking and cross there. And I also discussed this with the councillor and said it would be good to have lights that are synchronized with Lawson at Ravine Park, so that pedestrians who do cross can cross safely. And a lot of people who back out from Clapison, they have backyards, and they allow their neighbors to pass through their backyard, just to take the back fence so they don't have to walk all the way around, and they cross there too.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank
Okay.
you very much. Those are all my questions, ma'am. Thank you. I'm sorry, was there something you wanted to finish the point? I'm sorry, I didn't realize you wanted to finish the point. Go ahead,
think that, I found it very disturbing that, a letter was sent around to the residents when Vision Zero says that there can be, like, expropriation is not necessary and there can be a pass-through, and this is a Vision Zero initiative, yet they're not willing to take this initiative and talk about expropriation of property and a cul-de-sac when that's not what we asked for.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Madam Chair, those are all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Additional questions of the deputants? Okay, seeing none, I have a couple questions of staff. Hi, Jacqueline. How are you? Thank you for joining us. Can you please outline the recommendation that you have before us and why you're presenting this?
Thanks. Yes, Councillor. The the report is proposing to prohibit through movements from the plaza onto Tilley Drive. And this is part of a package of improvements to improve safety. The Port Union Road project, as all here know, is about widening the road, but also improving safety through improvements to the sidewalks, improvements at the intersections with local roads where there will be raised crossings, and reducing speeds on Port Union Road itself, as well as the turning movements onto local streets like Tilley.
And why don't you recommend closing the road, or what would be the process affiliated with that?
Councillor, yes, sorry, we are not recommending closing the road. We have recommendations to improve the intersection. The deputant is correct that there were 27 reported collisions in the vicinity of Tilley and Lawson Road. And the redesign of that intersection to make it connected directly with the plaza will remove the offset and improve visibility and minimize turning conflicts. Increasing the distance will provide drivers more time to maneuver across lanes of traffic, and a dedicated left turn lane to allow vehicles to move out of the flow of traffic. We're not recommending closing the road. That would require an environmental assessment, would have property implications in terms of a safety standard for having a cul-de-sac for large emergency vehicles and stop vehicles, etc., to make those turning movements on the street instead of coming onto Port Union itself. So we have many proposed improvements to improve safety as part of the overall project, but recommending the closing of the road is not one of them.
Okay, so the changes that are coming are the Port Union Road will be decreased from 60 to 50. The speed through Vision Zero, when our ward comes up, speed on Tilley Road itself will be reduced from 40 to 30. You're recommending no straight through between the plaza and Tilley Road. And then can you maybe just speak to the new design enhancements of Port Union for the curb extensions that will also slow traffic infiltrating?
Certainly. So many of the crossings with local streets will have a raised intersection, which is a new design that's being rolled out as part of reconstructions across the city, which will prioritize the pedestrian movements north-south along Port Union, and slow with curb extensions at each of the intersections will slow those turning movements onto the local streets.
Okay, thank you for answering our questions. Are there any additional questions of staff? Councillor Mantis?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a clarification to Jacqueline. Are we speaking about the plaza that's on the east side of Tilley or the plaza that's on the west side of Tilley?
Sorry, the plaza itself is connected to a residential street on the other side.
So on the east side of Tilley Drive. So they would have to go through 4 lanes of traffic.
The plaza, yes, is on the east side of Tilley Drive, and the intersection is being aligned so that the signal will be at Tilley and the plaza entrance.
So the concept is for drivers to go through Tilley through the adjacent streets because there's a cul-de-sac at the end of the street.
Oh, I see what you're saying, Councillor. No, the resident is proposing to close Tilley at Port Union. That is not what staff are recommending.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much.
Okay, any additional questions? Speakers on this item, I'm prepared to move staff recommendations. Thank you to staff for having a look at this and all the different options on Tilley Road. There have been accidents there, and the accidents have been on Port Union and affiliated with moving into that turning lane. And I do think that this is a good path forward, but I know that you've committed to continuing to monitor the situation as well in that area as the road is redeveloped. And so certainly, I'm sure if we see that there continues to be issues, we can look at other alternatives such as speed bumps, et cetera, onto Tilly as well. So thank you for your hard work on this. Any additional speakers? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? This item carries. Thank you. We now finish the agenda. Move to the bills. So the first is general bills that Scarborough Community Council pass and declare as bylaw bills 366 to 374. Can I have somebody move the recommendation? Councillor Ainsley, all those in favor? All those opposed? That carries. The second, that Scarborough Community Council pass and declare as a bylaw confirmatory bill to confirm the legislative proceedings of the Scarborough Community Council acting on delegated authority at meeting 31. All those, sorry, can I have somebody move this bills? Councillor Lai, all those in favor? All those opposed? I'm just, that carries. I'm going to take 1 second to confirm with clerks that we have completed this heavy agenda. We have completed the agenda. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you, Chair. Great job.
Good day, everybody.